What's up, party people? This is Maine's World, and it is party time. The newest and realest sports podcast on the planet, giving the truth to you straight. Why? Because you can't control me. I'm Jermaine Harris, and I'm your host. I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, party people? Welcome back to Maine's World. I know it's been a minute, but hey, we got about 6 questions on deck. So I'm going to get after it straight away. It's good to be back. All right, our first question comes in from Ice Don in Chicago. Why so long between podcasts? Where have you been? Well, Don, I'm glad you asked that question. The easy answer is this Maine's World. And you can't control me, so I do the podcast when I want. But I could cite a couple of reasons. One reason, I was supposed to get some theme music from a friend, some new theme music. I was kind of waiting on that, but that didn't come through. I wanted to spice up the podcast a little bit. But that's another fake reason. The real reason, I tweeted after the Bears playoff loss that these dudes done got me fired from my own podcast. So I was feeling down, depressed, and just didn't feel like, following through with sports, watching sports, talking about sports. Those dudes really almost got me fired from my own podcast. But I owe it to my fans. People been asking me about the podcast, so you got to give the people what they want, as Jalen Rose always says. So to my 22 subscribers, Maine's World is back, baby. So since Ice Don is the number one fan, he had a follow-up question. Do you think Zach Lavine deserves an all-star spot? Ice Don, that is a good question. The easy answer is hell yeah. This season, Zach Lavine is averaging over 28 points on over 50% shooting, averaging over 5 assists and 5 rebounds. I think he's sixth in scoring. That 52% from the field from a guard is pretty damn good in my opinion. He is the leader of the Bulls. The Bulls, I said it on the podcast a long time ago that the Bulls will finish with a 500 record or better. But I'm assuming they will finish probably right around 500. And currently, that's good to get you into the playoffs. The East is not sitting pretty. Even the best team has 12 losses. I think the Bulls have 16 losses. So Zach Lavine is willing that team to victory as of late and leading the team when they lose. So Zach Lavine is an all-star in my opinion. Let's talk about some stats. Zach Lavine has scored less than 20 points 4 times this season. 4 times. One of those games was a win versus Dallas where he only scored 10 points. He had a horrible shooting night. It was 1 for 8. But he had 10 assists in that game and shot 8 from 8 from the free throw line, and the Bulls actually got a win. So let's talk about some other stats. He's 6th in points, 74th in rebounds, 34th in assists. But those 74th in rebounds, he's 5th among shooting guards and 7th among shooting guards with assists. Interestingly enough, Kobe White is number 6 on that list. Another good point I like to make about Zach Lavine, he's shooting 43% from the 3-point line, which is probably 30th on the list. But for people that score over 20 points, he's number 4. So Zach Lavine is definitely an all-star candidate in my opinion. If he's left off that list this year, it will be a travesty. And we should probably boycott as Bulls fans because we don't have much to look forward to these days. But it's moving up. It's coming up. The Bulls will be a playoff team, but I assume they're going to have an early exit. We just can't keep enough big men healthy for long enough to get any continuity. But Zach Lavine, to answer your question, is definitely an all-star this year. Okay, our next question comes in from Maxine in Sydney, Australia. After her latest loss, should Serena Williams be looking towards retirement? Well, I've heard this being talked about on the ESPN, ESPN2 on the last couple of days. I'm assuming we're talking about Serena Williams retiring because of the after match press conference with Naomi Osaka. So after the press conference, Serena got kind of emotional when she was asked about not playing tennis anymore. But in my opinion, no, Serena Williams should not be looking towards retirement. Yes, she's an elder statesman in the tennis world right now, but we have to realize that Venus Williams actually played in the Australian Open and won her first matchup before she was ousted in the second round. So we definitely have to be talking about Venus retirement before we talk about Serena, who lost in the semifinal round to now the number 2 player in the world, Naomi Osaka. But then also in their tournament, she beat the current number 2 tennis player in the world in Simona Halep. So tennis is a different type of sport when it comes to matchups. Serena made too many mistakes versus Naomi Osaka, who is an opponent that has the same strengths as her. So it just wasn't a good time to have any unforced errors. She had to kind of play some of her best tennis. So we're talking about this Naomi Osaka, the new Serena. No, not yet. Serena's still Serena. There are several tournaments that Naomi Osaka will not face Venus Williams because she's beaten by a lesser opponent in an earlier round. So, just like golf and any other sport, tennis, on any given day, anybody can get beat or anybody can win. And Serena Williams is still one of the best tennis players in the world. She has some more majors in her. And I say some more. I don't think just one more. I think Serena Williams will win 2 more majors before she hangs up those tennis shoes. As we say, we call them gym shoes in Chicago, but tennis shoes. So yeah, to answer your question, nope. Serena Williams is here to stay for a little bit longer, and I'm happy to see it. All right, our next question comes in from Mike in Indianapolis. What do you think about the NFL QB Carousel, particularly Carson Wentz to the Colts? Well, Mike, I have never really been a fan of Carson Wentz, and I don't think it's Carson Wentz's fault that I haven't really been a fan. I think the commentary surrounding him all of his career, that he was just unbelievable talent, and having that MVP season a few years ago, I think that was probably 4 years ago now, maybe 3. The year they won the Super Bowl, he was having an MVP caliber season, but he did not win the MVP. He did not finish the season, and Nick Foles guided them through the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. We cannot speculate that Carson Wentz would have done that. Carson Wentz could have got you booted in the first round. Who knows? So that's probably why I don't have a big love. I'm not in love with Carson Wentz. But Carson Wentz to Indianapolis is good for Indianapolis because they didn't have a quarterback. But Philly just gave him away. That's got to say a lot about Wentz. That big contract was maybe warranted. Didn't prove to be the right thing in the long run. But I guess it's good for Indianapolis. Good for the Colts. They're still going to be blaming stuff on Andrew Luck for the next couple of years anyway. But a lot of the experts say that Carson Wentz is going to be great and have another MVP type season. But Mitchell Trubisky went to the Pro Bowl, and what? So hopefully, for your sake, I know you're an Indianapolis fan. I'm assuming that you're a Colts fan, that he does well and improves his situation. But I think Philly, they're in a decent situation with Jalen Hurts, but there's going to be some growing pains because Jalen Hurts now will be the quarterback that is scouted all week when the game comes up on Sunday. So he's probably gonna have some growing pains there. But I think the better discussion on the QB carousel is the Matt Stafford, Jared Goff trade. The Rams gave up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick and a quarterback, a comparable quarterback in my opinion, for Matt Stafford. I like Matt Stafford. I've always liked him as a talent, as a quarterback, but bottom line, he has not won anything. And we can say it's because he was with the Lions, but Mr. Trubisky won some shit. So, but 2 first rounders and a third rounder and a quarterback, I think this arguably will be a turning point for the Lions. So they'll have 2 first round picks for at least 2 seasons in a row, and they have a viable quarterback. I mean, Jared Goff's not chopped liver. He's not, what's that guy that plays for New Orleans? Taysom Hill. He ain't no Taysom Hill yeah. Jared Goff's a decent quarterback. But I think we also need to talk about free agents, Mitchell Trubisky and Cam Newton. Cam Newton, let's see, be a good fit in Washington. The Washington football team could use a quarterback, and reuniting him with his old coach might be a good thing. Let's say Mitchell Trubisky to New England. Mitchell Trubisky to New England for cheap. I mean, I think that would be very good for both parties. And we have to talk about the Deshaun Watson trade. I know I hear a lot of trade rumors. I know I've heard that the Texans say they're not even taking calls. But when you're giving up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick and a quarterback for Matt Stafford, then what is Deshaun Watson going to command? I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't. So he probably won't go anywhere unless he holds out and say I'm not playing, which I don't feel like he's that type of guy. And that's all. That's all. QB Carousel. We'll talk about QB Carousel more closer to season's beginning. But I appreciate the question. Next question comes in from Mikey J in the Bronx. How good are the Brooklyn Nets? Well, Mikey J, the question still needs to be answered. The Brooklyn Nets are a very scary team at this point, but at this point, I see them losing in the Eastern Conference Finals. The number one problem I have had with the Brooklyn Nets all season is their defense. Their defense is horrifying. Horrifying. But good things. I mean, James Harden is unstoppable, and he's playing at an MVP level right now, leading the league in assists and up there in points. Well, I don't know if he's leading the league in assists, but he's up there in assists and points. And Kyrie is unguardable. KD is unguardable. We have yet to really see all 3 of them play together, so we can see how that actually is going to work. I was watching the Nets game, and Jeff Van Gundy kept saying their defense was improved, but I didn't see that in the Nets game. The Nets actually should have won that game, but James Harden had his stamp on the game, and that's why he got that call late versus Kawhi Leonard. That's why he got the call late, because that was a foul, You might not be asking that question if the Clippers have beat the Nets. They have beat the Lakers the night before. Actually, I think they went 5-0 on that West Coast road trip. But the Nets are very good. I might sound like I'm rambling. The Nets are a very good team, but their defense is horrible. They had to give up the most points ever in January from an NBA team. They probably gave up. I'm going to look it up and get back to you on the next podcast. They had to give up the most points ever in the month of January. Damn, Atlanta Hawks scored 140 points on them twice in January and lost both games. But damn, you can't give up 140 points consistently, and they give up 115 to 18 consistently. In the playoffs, it's a little bit different. You know, one of them ain't gonna be unstoppable. We've seen James Harden in the playoffs before. We have not seen Kyrie in the playoffs without LeBron, and we know what KD can do. But yeah, not quite there with that defense from the Brooklyn Nets. But they are a very entertaining team to watch play basketball. But that's what I got for you, man. Not yet sold on the Nets. All right, this last question comes in from my mom, Kathy in Junction City, Kansas. What are you expecting from the Bears in the future? Well, I'm not expecting much from the professional football team in Chicago. I won't call them by their nickname until we get 3 wins in a row, not including preseason. So I don't expect much from the professional football team in Chicago, particularly because of the way the press conference at the end of the season press conferences. I did not feel confident in anyone's abilities, ownership, general manager, or head coach. One thing that I did like, which maybe a lot of people don't like, I like the promote from within. Sean Desai getting promoted to defensive coordinator. I thought that the votes of confidence from Vic Fangio and some other coaches around the league said a lot about him. So hopefully that works out for the Bears, works out in our favor. It quite possibly can work out. Was under Vic Fangio, and it seems like the defense is going to be ran more in the Vic Fangio style rather than the Chuck Pagano style, which was not all that great. I expect them to try to fix the offensive line, but I really don't have the confidence that this general manager has the foresight and knowledge to get it done in a manner that will be conducive to the future and not giving up future picks to fix the line. We have the number 20 pick. I expect them to draft a quarterback. I just hope they don't try to move around in the draft, overthink anything, try to move around in this draft. This head coach and this GM should not get a chance to mortgage the future, because without success next year, they're not going to be there past 2 years. So I don't think that this team should get a chance to mortgage the future trying to save their jobs. This franchise is a charter franchise. We plan on being around for the next 100 years, and we won't even remember this head coach and GM. So I expect not much from the professional football team in Chicago for the next 2 years. We can expect what we've been getting, really, five wins, six wins. That's about it. But hopefully I'm wrong, and I can, not be depressed on Sunday afternoons and Monday nights. And the professional football team in Chicago will do something big and move forward into the future. But we'll see. All right, party people, thanks for coming out. Thanks for being here with me. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for still being a fan of Maine's World. I promise you we will be getting after it a lot more often in the near future. All right, party people, that's our show for today. Appreciate you being here. Hit us up at mainsworldpodcast.com to drop your questions. We're also available on YouTube. Please hit like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Jermaine Harris, and I'm out. Why? Because you can't control me.